Celtics podcast, Drew Carter, Chris Mannix, Kevin O'Connor, Chris Forsberg of NBC Sports Boston, talking about a number of things concerning the team in the 25-26 season. Jimmy, this is the one, Chris Mannix on Joe Mazzulla, if you would. I found this part of the rest of it we'll get to in a moment, but I found this part of the conversation interesting because, again, Chris Mannix's been around that team for a while. I think Chris Mannix is well-sourced, and the topic came up of Joe Mazzulla and his future with the team, and also him handling the roster next season without Jason Tatum on it. And this is the exchange between Chris Mannix and Drew Carter.
So with this team going into this year, it's going to be different for Joe Mazzulla, right? Who, in 3 years as the Celtics head coach, has basically been coaching a team that's a favorite or the favorite to win the championship. Mannix, how do you think Joe is going to handle this upcoming season?
This is the most fascinating part of this season because I don't think that Joe Mazzulla is kind of hardwired for mediocrity. Like, how is Joe Mazzulla going to handle like a 4-game-in-6 losing streak or being a 500 team with no real chance to compete? Like, literally ever since he took over, this team was a championship contender. Got them to the conference finals, his first year, won a championship his second year, was maybe, was right there competing for one this year. The answer is I don't know. I don't know. Like, Joe is so intense and so focused on winning every single game and every single matchup, every game. Like, he takes losses personally. He is tormented by this stuff. I think this is going to be very interesting to watch how he handles all this. I think also Joe's status overall, like, we're still waiting on a Joe Mazzulla contract extension at some point. Like, he's done enough to earn it. No question about that. Are they going to be able to come to an agreement before the start of the season? I think there's a lot about Joe Mazzulla that's interesting going into this year.
So let me ask both of you guys, knowing what we know right now, is Joe Mazzulla the right guy for this team in 25-26?
Joe?
Joe, do you like Mazzulla in general?
I do. I think Mazzulla ball works. Last year, though, I do think their philosophy hurt them, no doubt about it. But to being fair with you about this team, yes, I do think he's the right guy because I don't think they're going to be competitive. So
but if you listen to Chris Mannix, that's the whole point.
Yeah.
Is that he says, if you think about it, Mazzulla's had 3 years with the team. Okay, they have been basically championship caliber all 3 years. They got bounced the first year with the Miami series. Tatum got hurt. Certainly they won the title the second year, as we all know. Last year they underachieved. But is he going to be able to handle younger players, a lesser roster?
No.
How's that going to work with him?
No, he hates younger players. Did you hear about this Baylor Shireman stare down that he had for 45 minutes? He thinks that young players should just be contributors. That's his philosophy. To your point, 3 years in a row he's had veteran guys here. He could have went to Cada in the playoffs. He didn't. I know he's been in the league for 4 or 5 years, but still, like, he won't go with younger guys even at 4 or 5 years in the league. So as far as developing the younger talent, he's not the right guy. But for next year, they're getting their ducks in a row for next year and the season next. So I already think Mazzulla has an extension. Like Brad Stevens mentioned it in a press conference that he's here for multiple years. Maybe there was some sort of option that got picked up when they won a championship. But as far as Brad Stevens said, he's here for multiple years. So is he the right guy? Well, he's the guy they're paying. And I don't think there's anybody else in the system right now.
Would you extend him then before? In other words, let's go under the assumption that he has those multiple years. Okay? In other words, that Stevens was telling the truth, that it's this year and one more. It has been reported or suggested, certainly, that the new deal for Mazzulla was going to come after the new owners took over. If you were the new owners, and Adam Himmelsbach of the Globe had an item the other day that said that everything indicates that all systems are go still on the sale, and that it will be approved this month. Okay, this month. So when the new owners take over, when Chisholm and his partners take over, would you extend Mazzulla right away, or would you wait?
I'd wait a little bit, but I've already heard that. I mean, there's been multiple sources that have said that he's signed an extension. Well, Tim Welsh in particular on draft night said it. He's close with a Rhode Island guy.
Well, no, he said they were talking, but they were still hurdles.
What are the hurdles? Like, I think he wonders if they're going to be a competitive team in money. Exactly. And
So if you were the new ownership, you would sign him.
I would sign him because I just don't think there's anyone else that's here. They need to keep it together. There's just nobody else they'd bring in.
Okay, but he's here for another 2 years
Yeah.
regardless.
Regardless, yes.
Okay? So, but you'd give him an extension now if he wanted one.
Undeservingly, yes.
Undeservingly,
But
yes.
again, I'm confused. McCarthy,
How
go
about,
ahead.
how about no? Simply put, no. He's the wrong guy for the job. Not only with the philosophy that I think he'll probably dig his heels on, the three-point shooting, given the Celtics don't have the firepower they did offensively this past year. But to Joe's point, Mazzulla doesn't want to work with younger players. He has been a coach for a team that has been contending for a championship for 3 years. That's not a fit. None of this is a fit. The roster is not a fit for Joe Mazzulla and his style, and I don't think Joe Mazzulla is a particularly adaptable coach. He wants to do what he wants to do. He's going to dig his heels in and tell you that he's right and try to prove that he's right. His stubbornness is his fatal flaw. That does not work for what is going on with the Celtics. He is not the right man for the job.
Okay, now, go ahead, Joe.
I was going to say, just to add to it, I do agree that if you're going to stick with Tatum and Brown, their best attribute is not shooting the three. But it does seem, though, that they are at least interested in switching some things up. They used, it's a copycat league. They used what the Pacers do and what the Thunder do, and they're more of a three-point start, but look for cuts. Maybe that's something they add, and Mazzulla is going to double down on this year as well. So same philosophy. I think they're looking for a little bit more of an option than just the three. I think that comes from Brad personally. But when I say undeservingly, the fact that they've had so much success, in a way, you do have to somewhat give him the contract extension. And again, just to add, if they are keeping Tatum and Brown, the Mazzulla ball style doesn't fit them. It just doesn't.
So, look, I'm not giving Mazzulla a contract until I have to. So, if I have to, in other words, if I'm the new owners, I wait and see what the first year looks like with Joe Mazzulla, and then I make a judgment. So, again, Chris Mannix says he thinks that Mazzulla, in a lot of ways, is going to be entering uncharted waters. He's only had competitive teams. Now he has young guys that he's going to develop. He doesn't know if Mazzulla is going to be able to handle it because Mazzulla's been used to winning. Chris Forsberg of NBC Sports Boston, he thinks the opposite. Here's what he said.
See, I'm the other way. He loves adversity. Some of his happiest press conferences are when they got their butt kicked because he's like, oh, I can't wait to go watch film and yell at guys about this. Well, you're going to be yelling all season. So I think this actually plays right into what Joe wants to coach. And one thing coming off that first season that he did say was that he didn't do a great job of necessarily leaning into the younger players. He was so focused on the core and chasing a championship that he maybe lost sight of the guys that he came up coaching and trying to develop. And invariably this year, the biggest thing for Joe is going to have to be, he's going to actually have to like a rookie. He's going to have to play Ugo and see what he can do and play some of these younger guys. And that's going to be a little bit of the switch for him, where he's just, as Mannix said, hardwired to just chase and win. And he's going to want to play Jaylen Brown and Derek White 40 minutes when that might not be the best thing for this team. It should lean into the Minots of the world and the Garzas of the world. And let's see what you got in potential complementary pieces down the road.
He's going to have to take a long view.
Okay, again, now that's Kevin O'Connor jumping in there at the end. But I think that's the reason I left that there is because I thought that was sort of the key point. He's got to take a long view now. This is different. It's not about winning a championship. So if it's 2 years, which is what Stevens has said, 2 years, multiple years, and we all assume that to be 2. Okay, that he got the 3-year deal when he was an interim coach, and that year 1 was this season, right? That he's got 2 more.
Yep.
So if that's true, and I'm Bill Chisholm, I'm going to use that second year, the coming season, to evaluate. Let me see if he'll adapt with Brad Stevens. Let me see if he can get away from being 3-point happy. Let me see if he can develop young players. I don't think he's getting fired now. I think we can all agree on that. Would have happened already, I think, if that were the case. Unless the new owners are going to do it when they come in. I don't think they're going to, but that doesn't mean they have to give them an extension. If I were them, use the time to evaluate Mazzulla. He is not the kind of coach you should be committing to, going out of your way to commit to at this stage. Absolutely not. After what happened last year, that was a major disappointment, and now you have different goals. Let's see if he can handle it.
I agree with that. I just don't know how many coaches in the league you can commit to.
Okay.
Udoka you can commit to, right? Look what they're doing. They just spent the money. They got Durant.